It's Wednesday night, and that means it's time for the Lamar Thomas Show, featuring the greatest receiver in the history of college football. Just ask them, Lamar Thomas.
I was born in Ocala, Florida. I moved to Gainesville to go to high school. Being recruited probably since the 9th grade, illegally, I might add, by the University of Florida. I still can remember Coach Solinger, Don Solinger, coming out to our practice one day. Here it is, this guy comes out in the University of Miami jacket, and I said, I can't believe that's Miami out here. And, you know, I wanted to go up and say, hey, I'm Lamar Thomas. And actually, I did walk up to him and I said, hey, Coach, I'm Lamar Thomas. And he said, I know. And that was the start of my relationship with the University of Miami.
Another good block, and Toretto lays it out. Touchdown, Miami.
You come down here, you'll be on TV every weekend, dominating. I thought about it. I said, man, where do I sign? My mom, on Saturday mornings, I would wake up and she'd be holding my hand. I thought she was the weirdest lady in the world. But she was holding my hands and she would be rubbing them and saying, one day these hands are gonna make you a lot of money. She was smart.
So now, here he is, the great one, along with co-host Gary Ferman of CaneSport.com, Lamar Thomas.
What's going on, LT? When did football stop being so easy, man? I watch that open every week. I'm like, I don't remember this game. like where receivers could just run right by the DBs like nobody's covering them and get easy touchdowns. And Gino used to just drop back there and sling it all the way.
Let it ride. Let it ride.
It didn't look that easy on Saturday night at Hard Rock Stadium when the Miami offense couldn't get guys open down the field because of the way Florida State was playing defense. But we brought out the smash mouth football, which we've been talking all year that there would be a day where they would need to be able to do that. And there it was, and Miami beats Florida State by 3 touchdowns, 8-0. We welcome everybody to the Lamar Thomas Show once again. The only place to be on a Wednesday night, presented once again by Caneswear. We'll get all that information for you right now up on the screen. So you can remember Caneswear throughout the show. You see the pictures of the store behind Lamar's in the store right now. It's a picture behind me, but you get the idea. Caneswear, your ultimate destination for all of your Miami Hurricanes merchandise needs. It's November, man. Hopefully you've already shopped at Caneswear, but if you haven't, it looks like they have restocked the shelves. I see tons of really nice stuff there behind Lamar. In fact, I got to show you guys something. Well, yeah, go ahead. Show me that, then I'll show them something.
Wait, just for tomorrow, Halloween.
Oh,
there
wow.
You go. There you go, baby.
So
what you got, Gary? What you got? Well, what you got to show me?
Well, Lamar is obviously the brand ambassador, self-proclaimed, I might add, for Caneswear. So everywhere he goes around town, he's wearing gear from Caneswear, and here he was at the game the other night.
Oh, man, look at that good-looking brother right there.
Dude, man, look at that.
Well, my wife is lucky.
I mean, could he look any sharper? I mean, what an alpha. I love the jacket and the hat and the whole thing. And more than anything, the smile, Lamar, because the Canes are now 8-0, and there's a lot to smile about. And, it was really funny. Like, we were cracking up during the game. If you went on our message boards at CaneSport.com during that game the other night, you would have thought the world came to an end. I mean, people were going crazy. This run here to start the season has just convinced everybody that Miami's going to win every game going away. It's never like that. It wasn't like that when you played, and it's not like that now. And college football is more competitive than ever. A lot more parity. You see 3 undefeated teams in the ACC. Or is it 4? Is it still 4? I think it's still 4. There'll be 3 after this weekend probably. But it's very competitive, and Miami has no margin for error. I don't think Miami can lose. If they want to achieve their goals this season, they must win out. Easier said than done, LT.
Well, I just had that discussion actually with Kevin Harris. He's the ultimate we will be undefeated type of guy. And I said, hey, man, we have to be. We can't afford to lose a game, and we can't afford to put it in the hand of voters. I mean, look, we dropped. We win, we drop. If we don't win by enough, we drop. So you can't afford to put it in the hands of the guys, the people that make the decisions. If you win out, you're in, and that's what it's about. You win you get to the ACC championship. Okay, first of all, that should be the main goal. You get there, you win that game. You don't put it in the hands of the SEC, the Big 10. I guess that's who it is, because they got to have their numbers, right? Maybe 4, maybe 3. I was trying to do numbers today, and it drove me nuts. Got a headache. I mean, maybe 3, maybe 4 teams from this conference, maybe 3 from this conference. A 2-loss Ohio State, do they stay in? Or it's just so much other stuff that could be. But the only way you take care of it is you go out and you win games. Now, I don't care if they're by 1 point or 50 points. I just want to win at this point. We had some great blowouts early in the year, but now it's time to basically run the table with what we did last week, running the football like we talked about. Because now it's the latter part of the season. Those guys, especially like you look at those Florida State guys, they knew the game was over. They knew their season is done. They're making business decisions. They don't want to hit our big bags. I see guys diving on the ground. There are memes everywhere. I don't know who it was, but they're everywhere. But business decisions now. We got big backs, we got power backs, and they showed up. They showed up, and they made you. Everybody was talking about number 6 is running Martinez's running style. Well, it showed you why it's so effective with the hopping in and out of holes. I mean, this guy has that jump cut down pat. I mean, he was hitting hole, and you know what? We would be remiss not saying this. I don't say shout out, but prayers up for Mark Fletcher and his family. He lost his father, and to go out there and play on Saturday night, it's truly amazing. He got that first touchdown. I was so excited for him and his family. So that has to be a hard deal. That has to be a hard deal to lose your father, who's very close.
You play ball. You know what goes into getting ready to play a football game. What do you imagine that was like for him last week, getting ready to play this game and just processing, that your dad just died?
I don't know. I truly don't know. I'm just blessed that I still have my father. I lost my grandfather, when I was in the pros, but I guess if it has to be any way on that, that they want you to play. They want you to play your best and give your all. You can grieve later. I know that's what my grandfather would have said. So I know it was hard. Bringing that up, my first touchdown in the NFL, was I put the ball in his coffin. It was a Hail Mary pass against Chicago. So that had to be tough. I saw him today, and I just gave him a big hug. So my prayers are with him, and a remarkable kid, man. At some point, he probably has broken down a couple of times. I mean, to lose your father, and from everything I've heard, that he and his father are very close. So for him to go out there and play his heart out, that was amazing. That was amazing, truly amazing.
we had a chance to meet him a few times, and he was such a nice guy. And you can see where Mark, gets it from. And those of us at CaneSport, the first time we met Mark Fletcher was when he was a junior in high school, and we walked away. I was like, that kid is a must get. He must be at Miami.
Yes.
And they fought through the recruiting battles, and they were able to get him. And he's just been a phenomenal player ever since he arrived. And the other night, him and Martinez, they got it done when they were needed very badly, because Miami had its way on the first possession of the game, and then the second possession, FSU sacked Cam Ward on back-to-back plays, and that had to be a shock to everybody. Okay, because the O-line has been doing pretty well in pass pro the whole year. Now all of a sudden, Cam Ward's just got nailed twice in a row. And we saw Shannon Dawson flip the switch very, very quickly after that, and with a whole new game plan built around the running game. And what did you see FSU doing defensively that you feel took Miami out of its rhythm on offense and made it tough for the receivers to get open down the field?
Well, I basically saw them playing a type of shell back there where they were saying, hey, you're going to have to catch everything in front of us, they basically said, we're going to give up everything underneath. And they even spied a couple of times Cam Ward. The pass rush that FSU had coming into this season, that was one of the strengths of the team, right? They were able to get a couple sacks, 2 sacks in a row. And like you said, we flipped the script and went to the power running game, and they had no answers, really. I mean, it was when your safeties are making tackles 8-10 yards deep, I mean, that's not a good deal. That is not a good deal. Now,
not against Fletcher Martinez.
Yeah, and your pass rushers are frustrated because they're rushing upfield and seeing the ball go by. So it was a masterful flip of the script by our offensive coordinator. They made the adjustments. Those 2 sacks might have been an eye opener. You got to keep that guy. We want to keep that Cam upright at all times. And good job by University of Miami's offense doing something like we've been saying the whole year. We wanted to see a power running game, and we saw it last Saturday.
And, if you're going to compete at the end of the year against the better teams in college football, you're going to have to be able to do both. And they got a mile to go, Lamar. I don't think this team is close to peaking. There's so much more improvement that they can still make.
Yeah, there's some things that they can improve upon. I mean, but I've said this from day one. I love the way the schedule sets up. I think each game has gotten a little harder. You say what you want. Florida State, is a rivalry game. They actually show some fight. They're very talented. They you look at their team, they have some talent on that team. They just don't have a guy to pull the trigger, a quarterback like we have. But you think about them last year, before the injury, they had a guy. Yeah. And those guys were playing around him just like our guys are playing around our quarterback. So, I mean, kudos to they had a good defensive game plan. They made sure they didn't give up the big plays per se, because we've been killing people on big plays, long 50-yard plays here and there. And Florida State did a good job. But, for the most part, we got to see, again, what we wanted to see this whole year, that power running game, come downhill, jump in and out of holes, and punish these guys in the secondary. And that's what we saw Saturday night.
All right. If you're watching the show and you want to interact with us, feel free to use the chat that's on your screen, and we will be referring to a lot of the posts in there tonight. If there's any questions that you want us to address, we're happy to do so. I got to give a shout out to our famous female listener, Jennifer Miller, who took her daughter to Caneswear on Saturday. Way to
30
go.
minutes. Woo.
Way to go, Jennifer. Had to wait 30 minutes to get in the store. That's good to hear for Brett and those guys over at Caneswear, that people are stocking up on their Canes gear. So, Jennifer, thank you for taking care of Caneswear, and thank you for having the patience.
And by the way, Jennifer, if you're coming back, they're open at 7 a.m. on Saturday. 12 o'clock game. Get on in here. They're opening the doors open at 7. So you're hearing it first, Jennifer. If you want to come on back, 7 a.m., get here. Doors open.
15 minutes north of Hard Rock Stadium at 2655 South University Drive. So very easy to go to Caneswear first and then head to the stadium. Did you get your sub tonight, Lamar?
I sure did. From the Spotters, I got that meatball, baby. Meatball sub right here.
And Spotters Sub Shop, best sub shop in South Florida.
Yeah, that's right.
They make sure LT doesn't go home hungry. There it is. It's right next door to Caneswear, so easy stop on your way to the stadium. Load up on food, load up on gear, and you're all set. Let's bring our main man, IC, our sidekick, back into the show. What's going on tonight, IC? Now that you've had a couple days to process everything, including more than 100 recruits that were at Hard Rock Stadium, and tonight's special guest is going to be Clinton Portis, whose son Camden was at the game this weekend and then committed to the U on Sunday. We're going to get to talk to Clinton about that tonight. But I see, how did you process everything that we saw this weekend?
It was a ton of process from on the field to, outside of Hard Rock Stadium with all these guys, with Coach Mario Cristobal kind of pounding the desk when he was talking about the momentum in recruiting and, the progress of these programs. So it was great to see, obviously, on the field product. Gary, I know you talked about it earlier. People were kind of like up in arms saying this is the worst Miami team ever and this and that. I'm just like, guys, come on, relax. It's a rivalry game. Florida State's going to give it their all. They still won by 3 scores. They covered the spread. Vegas knows too much. I mean, there was a 21.5 spread. They won by 22.
Crazy.
That was awesome for whoever bet it. And then
crazy. And that included us missing a 2-point conversion. I mean, crazy.
Yeah, insane. And then with the recruits after, you got, guys committed elsewhere saying they really see the progression, coming along with Miami 8-0, the most wins he's had since he's got here. So, recruits are happy. I bet the players are happy. They're 8-0 and, they have that 1-0 mentality. Now they're focused on Duke. And want to give a shout out to Jennifer Miller. Actually saw her outside of Hard Rock Stadium with her daughter as well. So thank you for coming up to Steven and I and giving us words of encouragement as well.
Oh, wow.
There you go. Since we're giving shots, hold on. Since we're giving shots out to my guys down there in the equipment room at the University of Miami. Woo woo! Every Wednesday, give it to me. My guys down there, man. I can't say their names because I don't want no violations like that. But they all know. Appreciate it, guys. Appreciate it. And big shout out to my people over there at the Ale House. Carolina Ale House in Weston. So we just throwing our shots out right now. Woo-hoo!
So we're 5 weeks to signing day. And, I see you cover recruiting. Lamar, you've seen recruiting from every side. Recruited the great Lamar Jackson to Louisville and obviously many, many other kids. And what do you think? 8-0. You got the Heisman Trophy guy potentially on your team, national TV every week. LT, what do you think? How do they finish these last 5 weeks off to signing day?
Well, I mean, the momentum is there. And I think that's why Mario is trying to seize the momentum. They had guys. I mean, there was so many guys there. That sideline was filled with recruits. I mean, they went from one sideline almost to the other. As you saw it, Gary, you continue to win. Winning helps out a lot. You see some guys decommitting from places, and I think Florida State had 2 guys decommit this week. But you continue to win ball games, and you try to lock these guys in, and you continue to work on the next year and the next year. I mean, that's what they're doing. They are tirelessly recruiting. You see those guys as soon as practice over, they're on the phones. They're talking to recruits. I mean, it is a I won't say 24-hour job, maybe for Mario, but for those assistant coaches, man, they spend a lot of time coaching and recruiting. It is it's a big job, and I see you see all these recruits that are getting love from Miami, and we can't take them all. We can't take them all. That's what I've always said. You can't take them all, but it's great having your choices and getting your choices. And I think that's what we're trying to do.
I see you've talked to all these kids this weekend. What do you think? How do the Canes finish this thing off here over the next 5 weeks?
Yeah, I think if they keep winning, it's going to keep getting easier because, one guy I kind of want to single out is Ben Hanks, committed to the University of Florida right now. He's a guy that's been committed there since the summer, a legacy guy. And, he's been in Miami 2 of the last 5 weeks. He was at the Virginia Tech game, and then he was back, this weekend. He's one of the many guys that are, giving Miami a real shot because of that production you see on the field this year. Last 2 years, Cristobal and those guys have said, hey, just wait till we get our guys in. Hey, till we start, playing our brand of football. And, now it's finally on display. And these kids are believing. These are kids they've been recruiting, since their sophomore year with Ben Hanks and, guys like TJ Alford committed to Ohio State, that they're continuing to chip away slowly. And these kids are, coming out of Hard Rock Stadium saying, man, this team really looks different from what I've seen, these past 2 years. And that's, credit to Mario Cristobal getting his guys in, recruiting, guys he thinks can be, impact players on both sides of the ball. Obviously, you have your transfers like Cam Ward and, Tyler Barron and Simeon Barrow on this side of the ball. But the majority of the makeup of this team is, guys that they brought into the high school ranks with Ruben Baines, Francis Malgoas, Restrepo, different guys like that. So really exciting times down there. And, that led to this upcoming weekend. They're hosting the number 1, 2026 offensive tackle, Jackson Cantwell. One of his biggest things was, hey, I wanted to see, what Miami had to offer in person. He really loves the progression of the program. All the guys you talked to are really saying this year's really catching my eye. I want to get a real look at Miami. So, another big weekend, surprisingly, for this Duke matchup, a ton of 2026 guys. I think 4 guys that are 5 stars going to be there for 2026 class. So they're keeping the ball rolling. No matter who the team is, they're getting big-time guys to come check them out at Hard Rock Stadium.
And we'll talk more recruiting with Clinton Portis here later. Like I said, his son Camden did just commit to the U on Sunday. We'll also talk more with Clinton about the performance of the running backs, Damian Martinez, Mark Fletcher. But let's shift gears to Cam Ward now. Really interesting dynamic here. Okay, you're putting up big numbers every week. You come into the week as the front runner, pretty much with everybody for the Heisman. And then they play the game on Saturday. Cam Ward finishes with 208 yards, did not throw a touchdown pass, didn't do anything wrong the whole game. Miami just featured the running game. The Canes win by 3 touchdowns. And now all of a sudden they're saying he's like the 3rd or 4th guy in the Heisman race. LT, I cry foul. I think that's a bunch of bull hockey. Not fair, LT.
I'm going to agree with you. It's a bunch of bull hockey, whatever you call it.
Yeah.
No, it's to be expected. That's just, he's trying to win ball games. The kid is doing what he's supposed to do to try to win ball games. He could have, tried to make it about himself. I think that with the game plan they had, they saw what Florida State was trying to take away. They just chipped away at it. They got the win. He gets to play in the next game fully healthy. I think he understands, and I think he knows what's important. Winning takes care of everything, and so it's just like we win a game, right? Miami wins a game, we drop. It's not to what they expect the score to be, we drop. But other teams win games, the close games, they're still up, and lose games, and they're still in front of us. So I look at it like this. If you continue to win, just like I said earlier, everything will take care of itself. Because all you want is a chance at the ACC championship, right? Then you get a chance to go to the playoffs. And all that, you have to win. And once you get into the playoffs now, and you'll probably be a high seed, now you get a bye, and you get whoever comes knocking on your door. And that's what you need. So you got to win the game.
So you prepare all week. You have your normal game plan, and they were mixing the run on the pass on the first series spectacularly. I think they scored in 2 minutes and 8 seconds or something. Went right down the field. We're sitting there saying, "Man, this is going to be a blowout tonight." That was way too easy, right? And then Florida State starts doing some things, and I saw receivers having a hard time getting separation. I saw Florida State, pretty much playing their safeties deep and not letting anything get behind them. And when you couple that with the pass rush, boom, boom, you nail Cam Ward on consecutive plays and knock him on his butt. As coaches, you got to be open-minded to change, right? Right, LT?
You got to evolve with the game, man. I mean, what's happening is not what you want, but so you just figure out a way to say, okay, if this is what they're going to do, we're going to just systematically just move this ball down the field, and we're going to. One of the things I was up there after I left the sideline, went up, and there were some people upset about field goals. Hey, man, we got one of the best field goal kickers in the league. You know what I mean? In college football, Borregales, and let him kick. You know, right before halftime, I take the points too. I don't mess around and give Florida State momentum of a stop. They go in now. They're, you know, yeah, it would have been nice to be up 21-7, right? It would have been great, but it didn't happen. We went up. We kicked the field goal. 17-7. I take that. That's better than 14-7. And they're going in, yelling and screaming, saying, "We stopped them. We stopped them. We stopped them. Let's come out the second half." And I like what they were able to do when they got in field goal range. They tried to get scores, and they got scores, whether it's 3 or 7 points, and I appreciated that.
Yeah, and you know, you hear halftime adjustments forever since football was created. Coaches making halftime adjustments. These were adjustments in the middle of the first quarter. As coaches, assistant coaches, I mean, I know I was impressed by how quickly they switched it up. You've been in the heat of the battle at every level. What's that like, having to change on a dime that early in the game?
I can tell you this: some guys, some coaches aren't able to do that. Yeah, I've been around some guys that cannot make the adjustment from the game plan. They have their game plan, and if you show something different, it will screw them up, and they are done. But you know, when you are around coordinators who have experience and have seen a lot, it's pretty comforting as a coach and for your players to know that you're going over things. And most of the good coaches, most of the good coordinators, they have an extra game plan, a little side game plan, just in case something goes haywire. And I really truly believe what we saw was the adjustments made. Say, okay, they're taking this away. Let's just do something different. Let's just do what we know we can do. What everybody has been calling for. Let's just run the ball down their throat. And that's what they did all night. How many yards did Martinez have again? 15 rushes for
48 yards.
148 yards. I mean,
yeah, Miami ran for 254 in the game.
There you go.
Pretty damn good.
I mean, that's pretty good.
So, you know, great move by Shannon Dawson. And you know, he's loving throwing the ball too. I mean, offensive coaches, they get noticed from throwing the football, not running the football. And he's got a quarterback this year they didn't have last year. And the offense is, you know, right at the top of all the stats, is the best in college football, the whole thing. By the way, I'm going to address the elephant in the room kind of right now, since people are asking about it. We reported today that Shannon Dawson has thrown his hat in the ring for the head coaching job at Rice. Rice fired their coach 2 days ago. Shannon Dawson has a lot of ties in the Houston area from when he was at the University of Houston. And his hat is in the ring. They're in the Rice coaching search, which is at the very early stages. You know, no sense in really worrying about it right now. Mike Novak says that he's already got Dawson leaving. He's predicting that Dawson will get the job and leaving a month ago before signing day. First of all, they haven't given the job out yet, so we don't know that he's going to get it. Even if he does, there's nothing saying that he won't stay for the remainder of the season and finish this thing out as a coach. But Lamar, as a coach, put your coach hat on now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Shannon Dawson's been an offensive coordinator for a long time in college football. Now he's got this great offense that everybody's noticing because he's got Cam Ward running it, and he's looking really, really good this year. Real good. Now, I say the head coach at Rice. Why the hell would you want to be the head coach at Rice? I mean, I would argue. I see. If I said to you, what's a better job, offensive coordinator at Miami or head coach at Rice? What would you say?
I'm sticking one more year as the OC at Miami, honestly, because I feel like, you know, not taking credit from Shannon Dawson right now, I feel like that Cam Ward hype, you know, is really driving the engine right now, things like that. But hey, maybe he wants to head back to Texas. Like you said, has those deep connections with, the Houston area. Rice, is a big school in the state of Texas. So maybe he's ready to jump ship and just, get on with it now. But like we said, it's all kind of speculation right now in the early stages of things. But if I'm playing NCAA, I'm the offense coordinator in Miami. I'm staying at Miami instead of, going to Rice.
But LT, everybody wants to be a head coach. Anybody that goes into coaching wants their shot as the top guy. It's your thoughts on the whole thing.
He's been a coordinator for a while, and he's been hired and he's been fired. You got to strike while the iron is hot. You don't know about next year. Yeah, we're recruiting good, but do you get a Cam Ward again? Do you have this memorable year? What do you have to put up those numbers and someone is saying, hey, we want you to run our program? Now, on top of that, you continue to win. I could tell you this, it won't just be Rice if we continue to win. So, I mean, that's the ultimate goal for most coaches. They want to be head coach. When you can call your own shots, you can hire your own staff. I mean, you can only take orders for so long, man. And so I know a lot of coaches. This is what I'm telling you. I know a lot of coaches. Their biggest regrets is not taking that next step. They stayed in their position too long, and when they had an opportunity and they didn't take it, and they're kicking themselves in the butt. You've been an assistant or you've been a coordinator for X amount of years, and you got passed over, or you passed up that chance, and now you can't get it back. So, hey, man, it is what it is. But as a coach, as a head coach, you got to have your list. You got Shannon Dawson here, you got to have 2 and 3, okay? You just don't have Shannon Dawson. This thing just, you never knows what happens. So you got to have 3 guys that you're looking at, okay? And every position, not just coordinators, it's every position. And Mario's been around a long time, and he understands that. When he hired Shannon Dawson, he knew that if he did well, you can give him more money, but some guys just want to be a head coach at some point. And this is a great opportunity for him, and I wouldn't be mad at him. But what I would be mad at if you don't finish out the year the same way you started out, putting all the time in, which I know he will. I mean, I was out there today, same thing. It hadn't changed. He is just as fiery, and he is into it. Him and Cam are on the same page, and right now it's a great match. So, you know what? If he gets an opportunity and Rice comes to calling at the end of the season or whatever, take it. That's what I say. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, and this is not Mario's first rodeo. I mean, Mario he had to replace his offensive coordinator, I think almost every year, if not every year, in the years that he was at Oregon, and certainly at Alabama, they were changing offensive coordinators every year.
Yes, they were.
Yeah, I mean, like offensive coordinators that have success tend to become hot commodities in the coaching,
especially when you're doing well.
Yeah. All right, I mentioned earlier our special guest. He has arrived, so we're going to bring him right on in here, and he's the man, Clinton Portis. And I'm going to start out by telling a really quick story that always comes to my mind every time I see Clinton. He had just finished his junior year at the U. We were walking out of the Orange Bowl at the same time, and we walked up that path that was going up there towards 7th Street. I said, so Clinton, what are you going to do, man? Like, are you going to come back next year for your last year? Or are you going to go into National Football League? And Clinton said, this is what he said. He's LT. He says, I don't see anybody out there better than I am. And sure enough, man, those were very prophetic words. And he went on to have a great career. And now he has a son coming to the U. And Clinton, welcome to the Lamar Thomas Show. There can't be anything better than that.
Yeah, man, it's a great feeling, man. Just to be able to walk with him, to be able to see him kind of create his own path. It's been outstanding, and just as a couple years ago, I said, when he hit high school, I said, you know what? I just want to be a parent. Like, I just want to be a fan. I don't want to coach. Like, I tried, like on the field, and you want to be a part of it. You want to give advice. You want to participate. And because you're not the lead voice, it gets frustrating, And then, there's so many people that's uncomfortable in the sport that it was like, you know what? I want to be a parent. I deserve to be a parent. I'm going to be a parent, and just taking this journey along with them, to be able to go sit in the stands, to be able to go watch the journey, to be able to get those little tidbits, little tips on the sideline, or come down out of the stadium and they make the adjustment in game. It's been unreal. I think he's creating a lane for himself, and he's growing at DB, and I think the best is yet to come.
Clint, homeboy. A lot of people don't realize, hey, man, we from the Ville, Gainesville. You played at GHS, Purple Hurricanes. You were outstanding running back and DB yourself. A lot of schools said, hey, we want you to play DB. And actually, one of the reasons why we were able to get you is because some of those schools wanted you to play DB. So I'm sure you're giving out some hot tips to your son. And how has that been? I see where it was Ohio State, Penn State, Tennessee, Auburn, Ole Miss, Missouri, UNC, NC State. It goes on and on. How has that been for you? Because remember, we only had like a couple. We had a bunch of schools interested, but the times were different. It's definitely different now.
Yeah, man. I think for me, just to see him blow up, the first tip that I gave him is, we're not playing running back. So you can get that out your head. Like that running back position, they wanted to die, we going to let it die. We won't be a part of it. We're not going to try to figure out if it's coming back, if it's going to resurface. We're not figuring that out. So we're either playing wide receiver or we're playing DB. And I think at wide receiver, you need someone. You need a quarterback. You need an OC to be able to see that. At DB, you kind of create your own lane. And for him to go to DB and get that opportunity, I can recall freshman year them saying like, oh, he's too small. And then his sophomore year, he was in cover 4 the entire season. And I'm like, bro, like it gotta be something. And he kind of turned up on the 7-on-7 scene, and going to these camps and guarding the best of the best. And now all of a sudden, he's creating a lane for himself where, like I said, the stuff that I know he's capable of has yet to be seen. Like we haven't seen him on the island. We haven't seen him in red zone. We haven't seen him, using his hands and that off-man technique. Like he has all that in his repertoire. It's just the system hasn't exposed it yet. So for me, it's an excitement because I know the phase that we're on. And for him to have all that recruitment, Lamar, bro, as great as it's been to be able to take these trips and go here one weekend and here the next, the person that feel it the most is the parent. When you got these flights, hotel rooms, rental car, you feed 3-4 kids, like y'all at this facility all day, or you got to drive, like you go to Ole Miss, you fly into Memphis, get the rental, drive to Oxford, and now you got to drive back. Everybody sleep but you. Everybody sleep but you.
And this is all unofficial business, right? These are all unofficial business.
Yeah, this
correct?
unofficial, so it's coming out of pocket. You paying for everything. They can't do nothing but say thank you. So for when he came to me, he was like, he honestly came to me maybe a month and some change ago, and was like, I think I'm ready. Like I know where I want to go. And he told me, and I was just like, sleep on it.
Right.
Like think about it. I'll rehash. So I gave him about maybe 3 weeks before I even brought it up again. And I was like, what you feeling? And he was like, I still feel like that's the place for me. So it was kind of like, okay, if you think you're ready, like here's the pros and cons. I know you want to create your own lane. You want to be your own name, your own brand, but them some big shoes to fill. Are you ready? You might need to go to FAU or FIU or any other school besides the University of Miami if you think you're ready to, explode onto the scene. And it was just one of those, he was like, he ready, and his mom ran track at UM, had an All-American career there. So he got shoes to fill,
Right.
like
No doubt.
it's not, yeah, you got shoes to fill, man. So he was ready for the challenge. And I think it kind of shocked Coach Cristobal, in conversation it was so casual, like, yeah, Camden, we want to get you on campus, and I think you belong here. And he was like, yeah, I'm ready to commit. And Coach Cristobal like, say that again, like, what you say? He was like, yeah, I'm ready to commit. And it was just like, what the hell, like, it's one of those. I was so happy that it happened, especially with it being the University of Miami and having all the ties. But the main thing I could think of was, boy, I'm so tired of traveling. I'm so tired of traveling. I'm so tired of building calls and having to talk about this. Now, I got 2 more I got to do it for, and I'm done with this shit.
Okay, I got a question for you then. Okay, so he commits next year, right? Or he gets to go on official visits. Okay, I didn't know this until recently that these kids can go unlimited official visits. Will you say, hey, go on some visits, see what it's like, or will you? I mean, obviously it's a little early to say this, but will you take those visits, get those free perks, and be able to stay in the hotel on the teams, get that money back in some way?
Well, I don't really think it's about perks, well, let me say, I don't think it's about the apparel and all of that.
Right.
Kids love apparel. But to be able to go see different atmospheres, to be in those environments, to make sure like this is where you want to be. Like it's gonna be hard to be in another FSU Miami environment. It was homecoming, the energy was there, Cam Ward going crazy. Like that's one of those rare FSU type environments. You don't get that week in, week out in Miami compared to we're around the corner from the University of South Carolina. NC State is one of the best environments you can play college football in. Clemson is right down the road. Like, bro, why wouldn't we go? We're still sports fans. And the University of Miami has done a great job to this point of recruiting Camden and staying consistent. Now, you got to keep that up. You don't just fall off because he committed and, oh, dad went here. You got to continue on your job. It's like a relationship. Once you get her, you got to keep her. And that's the hardest part. The easiest part might be getting her, but when it comes to the point of keeping her, which I think he really wants to be at the University of Miami, but at the same time, if things change, like you're talking about the coordinators leaving, the D coordinator gonna get a shot, this person gonna get a shot, this person gonna leave. So the DB coach might get an opportunity, so a lot of things change to the point where you keep those conversations, you keep those line of communications open, but at the same time, it's one of those, bro, you already know I'm committed to the University of Miami. So don't put this on me like, oh man, you got to flip. This ain't a flip. I'm coming to see what y'all offer. And maybe I hit an environment, maybe I hit a Ohio State, Oregon game, and it's just so unbelievable that I want this experience. Like you can't tell with these kids, but I think at this point, I think he locked in. But at the same time, to be able to go see other schools, to see what's out there, to get those experiences, to be on, like we didn't go to Alabama, we didn't go to Georgia, we had a Tennessee visit coming up, we had Ole Miss and Georgia game coming up. So those experiences, those environments, like that's like that all the time.
I think it was in South Florida. I saw you. You were at South Florida this year, right, for the Miami South Florida game?
Yeah.
And so
I even think South Florida program is doing a great job. Like that visit was a dope visit.
So I ran into them outside the stadium before the game, and Clinton's wearing a South Florida jacket. I'm like, what the heck? And then he unzips it. And he shows, he's like, but you know what I got underneath?
I had on all gear on a South Florida visit, and I understood their perspective. Yeah. Like I told them, I'm not my son. My legacy already stamped. You know where I went to. This has nothing to do with my son. Like I could go buy them Bulls gear. They could all go out in South Florida gear. But I went to the U, baby. Like, I'm not even sugarcoating like, oh, man, I'm in here cheering for y'all. No, I'm here cheering for them. So, don't hold that against my kids. And I think they laughed about it, kind of understood. So I just put the South Florida over it.
It's
And had
so
the
funny.
A lot of our viewers want to know, and I see the questions. We've been talking about all year about a packed running back room. Okay. And what's that environment like when you got guys in there that are all good, that are just nipping at the bud to get their opportunities in the game. And we had Stephen McGuire on last week, and he talked about it a little bit. Tell me a little bit about that and how, like, if you're on the sideline, you're just waiting to get in, you get in, and what's your mindset? What's your mindset?
I think that person is standing on side.
He'll come back. We'll get him back.
Yeah, we'll see if he may have to start all over again. Just as a continuation of what you're saying there. So Don Solinger was at camp a lot in the preseason. He looked at this running back room now, and he said,
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. There you are. I was just telling a story. Donnie Solinger.
I think that person standing on the sideline is always the most dangerous person, because that person is getting fuel to his fire. It's burning up inside of him. The steam is coming out of his ears, and it's only right that he's feeling that way. I can recall standing behind James Jackson and IJ Davenport, and boy, it was fire coming out of my ears to the point like I got tears in my eyes. As soon as I get on the field, like I know I'm about to break, like I know I'm about to cut up because it's the second quarter, it's the third quarter, and I haven't gotten in. And then that person that's on the field got to have that fire and desire to know, like, boy, I'm on the field. I can't worry about that. Like, I'm in control of this, and I think we had that situation of me, Frank Willis, where I'm telling Frankie G, like, dog, at halftime, I'll be out your way. Like, it's gonna be your show. I'll be out your way. So it's one of those situations where you gotta know and you gotta be looking forward to the competition. You gotta be ready to compete. That's why you came to the University of Miami. And we gotta get that back at all positions: wide receiver, running back, tight end. Like every year we were stacked. You had Bubba Franks to Jeremy Shockey to Kellen Winslow to Greg Olsen, like that. Everybody waiting their turn. So we got to get back to that, and then that's when I would say, "Hey, the U is back."
So you've been watching these running backs. Don Solinger watched them in the preseason, and he and I were talking about it, and he said this running backs room is as good as any running back room I had when I was coaching, including you and your teammates. Now that you've had the chance to watch, we really did lose him this time. He'll be back, I'm sure. But yeah, I mean, Solinger said like this current group of running backs, and we're seeing them. Fletcher, Martinez, Jordan Lyle, AJ Allen, Chris Johnson.
That's a lot to say, man. I mean, that running back room when he was there, all those names and I mean that thing was full, man. That was some really good players in that room, and for him to say that, that they had some really good players back. He's back now.
So Clinton, he said this crew today is as good as the rooms he had when you guys were playing. After watching them now for 2/3 of the season, what do you think?
I think this room is one of the best rooms we've had as a collective in a long time. Because when you see Martinez and you see Fletch and they're out here competing back to back, that kind of brings a different energy to the table, So to be able to see this, and then 28, I think 28 the dog. He come in as Mad Max, like he come in balls against the wall, he angry, he mad because he know what he can deliver. And then like one of my favorites is Chris, and he's not getting on the field. Like all that speed, you got to find a way to use. So you got a chance to have 4 horsemen, and
you got 21 too.
Yeah, like 20. You got a chance to have something special, but the flow of the game hasn't dictated the running backs to take over because we've been playing from behind and it's been the Cam Ward show. So when you can get into a game where you dominate and maybe Martinez got 15 carries, Fletch got 12 to 15 carries, then you could bring them boys in where they get 8 to 10 or 8 to 12. Like that's missing in football. But when you got that much, hey, they can go, like if they can pick up 40, 30, 40 a pop at times, you got some, So I just think it's hard to get into the flow of the game, especially when one guy's on and like you got this series and I got next series and then they sprinkle something else in. It's hard to get in a rhythm for any of the backs. You got to have a lead dog. And, hey, you know what? If I get tired, you come in. If it's third down, he come in. Or if it's short yardage, he come in. You got to get a better rotation and better system instead of, hey, you got this series and you got this series.
See, that's what I want. That's what I want to hear right there. The mindset of how do you guys and how running backs sit there and say, because they're different than receivers. I mean, we know we divas at receiver, but the running backs, they got to get in that ebb and flow of the game. Like you can't just be snatching them out. It's kind of similar to quarterback. When you see guys doing the 2-man rotation of quarterback, you're like, how they get a feel for the game? And that's what I'm glad you brought that up as far as running backs.
Well, because if you're not in the flow of the game, like you don't get to read. Maybe you came in for these 2 plays and then somebody else come in for 2 different runs. So by the time you get that run, you really haven't felt it. You haven't set it up. So it's hard to go be like, hey, Lamar, what was you looking at when you did it? Now I'm going to kind of do that same thing, but I seen this cutback, like maybe you didn't have your eyes on your first read, or maybe you were playing on the second level or playing the guy who could make the tackle, assuming everyone else was going to pick up their block. So it's hard when you're not, hey, man, let me get a flow of this game. Let me get into the game. Let me start banging. Let me hit somebody. Let me get hit. Don't just pull me out and we just went, had a 5-play drive and now you're taking me out of it.
I see. Let's say your coach, Fletcher, Martinez, Lyle, Johnson, the mad number 28. What do you do?
Man, that's a tough position to be in.
Bro, the way Fletcher's right now, Martinez opened up the season, but I was like, wow, like, boy, we found something, But the way Fletch has been playing, and I know he has a different inspiration at this point moving forward. So the way Fletch has been playing, if he just finished his runs, falling forward, tucking his shoulders and getting downhill the way that 28 did, if Fletch pick up that in his game, man, that's a tough boy. That's a big boy already. And then when you look at Martinez, it's kind of the same thing. I think he got to quit fading to the side once he get off. They all looking to get to the sideline, but you want to hit this gap and get upfield. If you look, they often get hit low because they're turning their bodies towards the sideline, and you always want your shoulder square facing end zones. Like you never want to be turned sideways or going here. Like that's where your injuries come in at. That's where you get depleted. Like be able to see everything that's going on and be able to put them shoulder pads on the secondary because they don't want no smoke.
Clinton, I wanted to ask you, kind of going back to Camden's commitment. I know you released that video on Instagram with all your former teammates and former Canes, kind of congratulating him. Just being in that atmosphere with those guys and sharing that moment with them. How cool is that for you to see your son get that love from the guys you call brothers as well?
It was dope, man. And I was trying to get Lamar and Willis to do it, and Lamar Miller down on the sideline, but it was so crazy and everybody was grabbing and pulling them. So it was just like, man, I'm gonna take what I can get. Like I'm not gonna be, just sitting here chasing people to do the video. But I think Playmaker, we all love Playmaker. It's hard not to love him. So
I was
think
running
he was
from him.
Perfect for it. Everybody. Like, hey, listen, Playmaker gave me a hug before the game. He was already drenched. And I'm thinking like, man, I got another person sweating all over me. Like, man, God, Mike, you know,
Shirt was dirty.
Yeah, and he didn't care. So, you know, it is one of those situations, man, to have that appreciation, to have that brotherhood where you could get a Ray Lewis, you can get a Michael Irvin, Edgerrin James, Lamar Thomas Miller, Willis McGahee. Like, yo, man, I need you to send a shout out to my son. He about to commit, and them be excited to be able to do it and make it all come together. You know, it's an experience. I think it's something other kids, you're looking at everybody do the little hat swap, everybody do this, but when you talking about that's 3 Hall of Famers, man. Yeah. 3 Hall of Famers just did my commitment video. Are you kidding me? And then my dad against us, like, man, you know, that's different. So you have to look at that in appreciation. You know, maybe you don't appreciate it today, but down the line, you'll be like, oh man, that's dope.
Hey, Clint, I've always wanted to ask you this. A lot of people from Gainesville, you know, I posted on there about, you know, us being from Gainesville, how we made the decision to come south, and how, you know, it is what it is. Why did you, first of all, why didn't you go to Buchholz, the best school in Gainesville? You went to Gainesville High School, who was secondary to us. Why?
Hey, Gainesville High School was secondary to you all when you were in school. But when I came through, we switched that. And that was part of the reason I went to Gainesville High. You know, I moved to Florida in the 7th grade, and I just so happened to be in the beginning of Duval, where I had all 3 bus stops. I could have went to Buchholz, Eastside, or GHS. And
Eastside was definitely out of the question. They were definitely out of the question.
Eastside had remember, I went to Lincoln. So Eastside had all of the dogs.
Yeah.
All of us went to Lincoln Middle School. So it was like one of those, I don't want to be with them no more. Like, I want to show them that I can compete, like I can carry my own, because through recess, through competition, you always picking somebody else that you thought was better than me. And that person was normally Rashad. You know, like it was Rashad, it was Chandre, it was Tony. Like, we had a bunch of studs come out of Lincoln. Buchholz back then was considered an all-white school. I didn't want to go there. And then y'all was on top. You know, like they was kind of dominating the city. Yeah. And to me, it was like, I don't want to go. I want to go and create my own thing. I want to find my own crew and take over. And we did. Like, we had the city on fire. And you know that. Like, you already know I was taking your brother to the stand. I was jamming your brother and he was the dog around there. You know, so to get that opportunity,
y'all had some battles.
Always in me.
We lost him again.
He's locking up a little bit.
I wanted to elevate a school and change something around. Therefore, we become legendary in what we did. And to this day, you're going to talk about Rod Littles, you're going to talk about Clinton Portis, you're going to talk about Derrick Jackson. Like, our crew came and changed the G.
You did. Yeah, you did. I just wanted to give you a little crap because, like you said, it changed, and I couldn't figure out why it changed. And my brother was like, hey, man, they got this dude over there. Who is the dude? You the dude. Nah, man, they got this dude over there. He's nice. So I had to check you out.
Bro, you know what was crazy? That was like it was your brother and Ocala Vanguard, Culpeper School, had all, like, y'all receiving corps were my 2 challenges. They had Rashad Jones, and then, you know, Buchholz had your brother, and that was our conference. And those were 2 of the top receivers in the state. And I remember Coach like, you got him. And I'm like, oh, he ain't getting the catch. Like, he ain't getting the catch. And that was just the mentality. Like, let me figure out what it was. And you know, like in space, like your brother was a dog. He was good. He gonna make a play. And I figured out his weakness. I said, you know what? If I walk down on him and I jam him, he don't really want no smoke. Like, he don't want me down here. He want to be able to give moves and all this. So the coach yelling at me for the first quarter, move back. Man, I'm not worried about him outrunning me. Tell him to move back. I'm not budging. So it was just one of those things, like, it kind of prepared me for coming to the University of Miami. It kind of prepared me for the next level because I was already competing. I just didn't know what I was about to walk into at Miami, in one of the greatest backfields of all time, or one of the greatest teams of all time. But I was prepared just through my high school challenges.
And how was that decision? Like, you made the decision to go to GHS, but you had a bigger decision 4 years later, just like I had, about our hometown. And how did that go?
It was easy because UF had screwed my man the year before. And then they wanted me to play DB. So my phone call was like, "Hey, Clinton, it's Spurrier Jr., and we're thinking about offering you a DB. What do you think?" And I'm like, "Hey, I think you should offer somebody else. I'm playing running back." And that was our call. Like, I know they was thinking like, "Man, this boy crazy," you know. But that was our call. You know, it was already our coach was already upset with them. And being that I was around Rod every day and I saw what they did to him, it kind of gave me a bit of like, that's how they do business. I don't want no parts of that. So for me, I think, you know, like at that time, UCF in South Florida was teetering with switching over and becoming major schools. So I think they recruited me more. And Florida State tried to come on late. I was never a really Florida State fan. So it was meant for me to go to the U.
And people don't know, it's a lot of more than you know. It's a lot of Miami fans in Gainesville. You know, I found that out. Yeah, they're a lot, and I think that you and I probably helped it out a lot. But there are a lot of Miami fans in Gainesville. Actually, Canesville, we call it that. But you know, I always wanted to hear your story because everybody has that different story. But it's good to hear because on this show, we bring guys on and we talk about why they made decisions, because just like you said, your son, you know, here it is, we're putting both of those together, two different decisions, but the same decision, basically, but two different ways of getting there. And obviously, I heard on another podcast how you committed to the University of Miami. You was coming.
I'm coming, baby. I'm coming. So my commitment was innocent. But everybody was so excited about it. Shit, I stuck to it. You know, I was eventually signing day. I was going to sign with Miami, but they just sped that process up and got it the week before Christmas. Hey, you know that's normally a county tournament in Gainesville for basketball. So we had OG and Melvin Mack, Chris Benson. So when I walked in with that jersey on, like that was my announcement. I just walked into the game with a jersey on, and everybody like, no way, like what? You know, it was crazy. So for me, I knew at that point, just from everybody else's reaction and how they were excited, like this is where I'm supposed to be.
So Clinton, you've had a chance to see several Hurricane games now. Through your different perspectives and stuff. What do you think of this team that's 8-0, number 5 in the country? What are your thoughts?
I think it's a team that, and I tell people this all the time. They say, "Oh, y'all played in a close game, y'all almost lost." And I said, I'll take a win over a loss any day. I would rather have that almost win. I mean that almost, and we win, than for us to be talking about we lost. And just the poise of Cam, I think, has played such a major role in the success that Miami is having this year, because he's always calm. Like, he got all the time in the world. We're sitting here watching the TV, speed up, do this, do that. And he like taking his time and, you know, making his calls. You're like, man, what is this boy doing? He make it work. So I think his poise and leadership has done so much for that team that they're winning when they should be losing, that eventually they're going to catch fire at the right time, which I hope is ACC championship and playoffs, where you don't have these close games, where you could put a full game together. Your O-line run blocking, pass blocking, your receivers making plays downfield, and you're running the ball. We haven't put that game together yet. So it's only a matter of time before we do. And I think the defense is getting healthy. And if you could get that D line where they're roaring at the end of the season, because, you know, this is about to be the time of the year. It's getting cold. People don't want to get hit. That ball hurt. Like, it's going to change things. So this is where your O-line should come in and start to dominate. So if you can get to the point where you pounding people, and I really think just for Cam, if you could keep him in that Heisman conversation, because he deserved it for the games he's already had. But at the same time, you're not playing into his game trying to win him the Heisman. But if you can keep him included, maybe a 60-40 team run or pass run, and just go out and dominate, put 4 games together. You know, I think we have some bad penalties at times, and then it's just a matter of putting it together. You know, on defense, you got to get off the field on 3rd down. The quarterback scramble, at some point we got to get a spy or come to the realization, like, you getting upfield knowing this quarterback want to take off running. So I think those small things, which are fixable, need to be done.
You know, Clinton, you know, we talk about your career, man. You know, you went to the Redskins. I just remember, I mean, I obviously remember Broncos, but the Redskins, man, that's where you were able to play alongside your college teammates. What was that like, man? I got to play with Horace Copeland and Craig Erickson, and it was just it made me feel at home, you know, wherever I was. How was that playing with Sean and Santana, and how was that?
I think it was the same, because in Denver, you know, like I had no expectation. Like, in Denver, I was just a wild child, and then I get to DC, where you're the face of an organization, you become the leader, the voice of this organization, and the first thing you listen to me on, or the first decision I'm included in, is drafting Sean. And we get Sean, and then the next big decision I'm included in is calling to tell y'all Santana want to get out of New York, and Lavernius wanted to go back to New York, and I'm included in that. And these two were such a huge part of that organization, along with me. And I feel like that was really special. Just our bond alone, us coming out of the tunnel, us having the same motto mentality, same upbringing, like wanting to go out and dominate, and kind of carrying that fire over to other guys. Because we had other guys on that team, the Cooley, the Marcus Washington, LeVar, you know, like we had other guys, Chris Samuels, that were dogs. But I think everybody kind of looked to us for that inspiration. Like, well, these Miami boys going to do. And then Rocky McIntosh came up. You know, we brought Philip Buchanan through. We brought Mike Rump through. So we had a run where, hey, man, we was getting guys in. You know, it didn't work out for us, but we had a shot, you know. And it always felt great. It always felt at home. Anytime you could go to war, if it was just one of those guys, it would have been like, oh, man, this is dope. But to have the opportunity to have all those guys come through to be able to play with at some point, like, it was dope.
Well, another question for you. I got, you know, you had some characters. How did all that come about, man? I used to sit at home and go, boy, that boy shout out right there, boy. You had these characters. How all these characters came about, man? You do your press conference.
It was just having fun, man. You know, I think we were at one of those times, you know, you hit the depressing part of the season where y'all losing. I think we were 3-5 midway through the season. It's starting to get cold. It's gloomy. It's raining. It's snowing. Like, it was just like a picker-upper, and the media caught hold of it one day. You know, I think it was a rain day. The media came out early, and that's what started. Like, me playing around, like, bro, I'm just out here to make people laugh. You know, I was out here making my teammates laugh, trying to put energy in practice, and it just kind of took off.
And, you know, I can tell you this. Us playing at Miami, I don't know what it is, but we're always put in that situation because we're the guys that we just pick people up because that's what we're used to doing at Miami. because we were teammates. That's what we did. So we're always asked to be that person to try to pick the team up. Is that what you kind of went through?
I don't even think it's a point that we're asked. It's just that's our natural. Yeah. That's our natural leadership. Like, bro, you could.
Awesome.
He must have hit a bad cell. He's on his cell phone. Give him 1 second here to. There he is.
There you go.
Good.
Like, bro, you could do this. You know, like I know you could do this. You got it in you. Let's go. You know, and a lot of that goes unnoticed. You know, like a lot of the stuff you do in locker rooms, a lot of the leadership. Like people look at leadership as being, you know, you're going to church, you're doing everything right. That's not leadership. Yeah, that's not leadership. That's a form. But who following that person? You know, to see somebody go hang out, you know, when you look at an Edgerrin James, you're not thinking, man, this smart, like Edge always, I see you always doing something. Like I want somebody that's in touch. When people look at a Clinton Portis, I'm in touch. I know what's going on. You know, like I'm outside and then I'm coming to deliver on the field. But people look at that, oh man, you doing this or you doing that. If I was a square bro, if I was just in the house, I don't think people could relate to me. Like, because I couldn't relate to you. But when I know, hey, you know what? It happened to me. Shannon Sharp led me to the promised land on one of my rough days. He got me right, and I went out and had one of my best games. So when I see somebody else in that position, this is what was given to me. This is a game that was given to me. I'm giving it to you. I'm picking you up. We got to go out here and get it done.
One of our listeners or viewers said, y'all remember the game after Sean died? They played a defensive snap with only 10 men on the field in honor of 26. He wanted you to talk about that. And how'd y'all come to that? Can you hear me? Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Can you hear me, Clinton?
I can't hear y'all.
Okay, so yeah, I can hear. We can hear you. We can hear you.
Can't hear y'all.
Can't hear us. I don't know what's wrong. Gary, fix him. Gary, fix him. Fix him, Gary.
He'll be back. I was going to put this up for him, but
okay.
He totally disappeared for a minute. But man, he sent a lot of interesting stuff tonight. He's kind of got me a little mesmerized here. You know, Clinton was such a special guy, and his confidence from the day he arrived at Miami was just so unusual for a true freshman who usually come in starry-eyed. And he came in believing he was the best, and he left believing he was the best. And you were hearing tonight some of his experiences from the NFL, and you know, they carried over. You know, but hey, Clinton. So one of our listeners wanted to know about the moment after Sean died that they played a defensive snap with only 10 on the field.
How did you guys get to that decision?
I think it was, you know, Greg Williams. The first thing he said was, we can't replace, like, you know, in Greg's words, it was, we can't replace that MFer. And we're going to go on the field with 10 guys and honor Sean, you know. And, you know, like we kind of knew early in the week. I think he maybe told me, I think the defense knew as well. So it was just one of those decisions where you can't replace him. We know we can't replace him, but we're going to go out and honor him the best way we know how.
Well, I tell you what, man, that was that goes down as one of the memorable moments of watching NFL football. It's a very touching moment because, you know, we all were deeply hurt by the situation and what happened, but to see you guys go out and do that, did you guys even tell the other team, or was it just something that?
I'm not sure. Maybe the other team had kind of gotten wind of it because they called the perfect play. They called the perfect first play for him to go up the sideline. You know, he had a big run. on that play. But it was just one of those things. I think the energy that was in the stadium, the how everybody came together, like, that was crazy. Like, I could still feel running out with the flag. Like, people always talk about memories from sports, like, oh, what's your favorite moment? And I'm like, to be asked to carry that 21 out after the tragedy, like, that's one of my favorite moments. Like, it sucks, but it's one of my favorite moments because that was an honor to me. It wasn't. That's not football. Like, that's not just about football. The family wants you to do it. Your teammates know your relationship. They want you to do it. So, it's a lot of meaning come out of that locker room. And I think that was one of those moments.
Well, Clinton, man, we see that you're driving, man. We definitely appreciate all the time you spent with us, man. I know you're a busy man, and congratulations on the commitment. And like you said, it's up to the University of Miami to hold on for dear life.
Hey, we did our part, baby. I got him there. Like, y'all got to keep him there. Hey, y'all got to keep him there.
Enough with this good parent stuff, man. He's coming to the U.
Well, hey, hometown.
Thank you.
Hometown. Love you, man. And I'll make sure I tell my brother to watch that. That's Darren Thomas. Because I get on him all the time about how Portis, you got Portis a scholarship. So
hey, you know what's crazy? That's the game. They was looking at that quarterback, Chris Johnson.
Doug Johnson.
They were looking at the quarterback, Doug Johnson, and that's how they saw me. I ran a kickoff back, and I jammed your brother to the front row of the Citizen Field. After that, they say, "Hey, boy, this is a madman. Who is this guy?"
I'm gonna take it out on you. I'm going to the school, and I'm gonna take it out on you. Hey, love, brother. Be safe. Hey. And hey, let's get to that ACC championship so we have that party out there. I know you're gonna have a nice party in Charlotte.
Man, we gonna set the city on fire. Y'all get up here. I have everything lined up, baby.
All right,
my brother. Right. Take care. Thank you.
All right, Clinton. Great seeing you. Oh man. Let's take a quick moment here and let's hear from our friends at Caneswear.
Welcome to Caneswear. New store, new items, same great experience. Family owned and operated since 2010, Caneswear has the latest merchandise from the Miami Hurricanes, Miami Dolphins, Florida Panthers, Inter Miami CF, and more. Come visit us at our store in Davie on University Drive, just south of 595, or online at caneswear.com. Caneswear, the spot Miami fans shop.
We are talking about the largest collection of Miami Hurricanes merchandise that you're going to find anywhere. Here, I'm going to put LT full screen here, so you guys can check it out as he. Oh man, that is a nice
military appreciation, which I think is maybe this weekend. You got it's a green out, so let's see. We got some green stuff here with some more military appreciation shirts here. Bam! Look at that.
Wow.
Bam. Look at that. Okay. And we got some green out stuff right here. Okay. Green out. Bam. That's nice. Got the Caneswear with the name on the back. Bam.
With the name. All right.
Got military appreciation. Okay.
Oh, wow.
You got the coaching zip right here. I might be wearing some of this on Saturday, but I got to talk to my guys and figure it out. But Halloween, I told this earlier. Come get this, and this badass.
That's bad. Yeah,
I love this right here. This is hey, they got it for every holiday. I'm sure they have some for turkeys. They got Caneswear got it all, man. Come on in here. Remember, 7 a.m. doors open on Saturday. Get here. It'll be open. Come on, you don't have to wait in line, Jennifer. Just get here at about 6:45, and we'll let you on in here. I won't be here because I'm gonna do my shopping tonight.
I mean, we're talking T-shirts, jerseys, polos, hoodies, hats, flags, magnets, decals, anything that you could need. Caneswear has it. They have all different sizes: men, women, kids, babies, and get this, they'll even dress your pet. You have a dog at home. You can even buy an outfit for your dog at Caneswear. You probably don't want too much Dolphin gear anymore.
Well, I was just about to say that. Now you got Dolphin gear, you got Florida Panther gear, you got
Inter Miami.
Inter Miami. I mean, what else we got? Ken? Heat, Marlins. I mean, we got everything up in here, man. This is a one-stop shop for South Florida sporting gear. I mean, it is, man, this is nice. I wish I had the key to this place.
So it's more than a store at Caneswear. It's an absolute experience, and we recommend you go as soon as you can. 2655 South University Drive in Davie. If you can't get to the store, you can shop at caneswear.com any hour of the day. If you're going to the game this weekend, they're going to open, like Lamar said, 7 a.m. It's 15 minutes door to door from Caneswear to Hard Rock Stadium. So pop in on your way to the game. Get yourself something new to wear for this beatdown of Duke that we're getting ready to hopefully see this weekend. So 2655 South University Drive in Davie, caneswear.com. Caneswear, your ultimate home for all your Miami Hurricanes merchandise needs. All right, so let's pick up where we left off. We were talking a little bit about the offense. We were talking about Shannon Dawson flirting a little bit with Rice, trying to see if he can get the head coaching job there. Why that would be appealing to him. Some people are a little rattled by the whole thing, but I don't think it's going to be a distraction. Listen, his agent's doing his job. He's trying to get him the job. The job's there. The coach just got fired 2 days ago. So it was going to get out that, that he's a candidate. I mean, that's just the way this whole business works. But I don't think it's going to take away Shannon Dawson's focus on this game or any other. So we talked about the receivers, trouble getting separation, the backs taking everything over. What we haven't talked about, guys, is the offensive line. Okay. And they've been pretty solid pass blocking all season. And that kind of fell apart a little bit against Florida State. They gave up, I think it was 4 sacks of Cam Ward in the game. Not real good. We saw a couple that were really ugly, like we talked about on that second series of the game, which is what inspired them to go to the running game. LT, how does this offensive line bounce back now? They're going to see every blitz in the history of football this weekend. Manny's empty in the playbook. How do they rebound from that Florida State game?
Well, first of all, I don't think that Duke has the type of players that Florida State had on that D-line. I mean, coming into this season, we go back to, we rewind it, it was all about their D-line. I mean, those guys, Marvin Jones Jr., they got some guys, man. So I don't think Duke has those type of guys. And you're right, Manny is going to throw everything at him. But I think one of the things about Cam, now he got one time, I think it was a cornerback or safety. He came out of blind side. He usually sees that stuff and he knows and he counts that guy as his own guy. He got fooled one time, but for the most part, he sees the blitzes. He knows that that's his guy, the only guy that can stop it, because the line, he's gonna turn the line left or right, whichever way he needs to, and he'll leave that one guy for him. And I even saw him throw. He faked like he was throwing around the guy, threw over the top of a guy to make a completion. So, Duke is gonna do everything they can. They're gonna try to throw everything, and Manny prides himself on being a defensive guy. This will be a chess match, but I don't think they have the horses for this chess match, because we also shown, again, this is why I'm glad it happened, we got to show that power running game. And you can't do all those you can't do all those blitzes with the power running game like that, because you're going to get hurt. And what's going to happen, those guys are going to get deep into that secondary, and those guys who now know they're probably going to like the Independence Bowl or something. They now know that, and they'll probably opt out. You know how kids are now. That they got to make a business decision. Do I want to hit Martinez? Do I want to hit Fletcher? Okay, and it's you're gonna have to make a business decision. That's my thoughts on it. I see. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I think they're going to be in the same predicament. You know, obviously, like you said, if you bring in all those exotic blitzes, those different looks, you're going to, sustain yourself or, let yourself get ran all over. And we've seen, like last week was a perfect, hey, if you want to do this, you got to get, the Martinez and Fletcher. So I think that's going to be definitely something interesting to watch. And, with looking at Duke and looking into their defense, I know they don't have kind of the same guys that FSU has, but I feel like they kind of make that up like schematically and just do little things that, that make up for that lack of athleticism, whatever it may be. Really, really good at forcing turnovers. They have the most, I think, forced turnovers in the ACC. So that's something I'm going to be really watching out for. But, last week, I feel like SMU did a great job of running the ball. Brashard Smith had a pretty good game against them. I know that came down to the wire. He rushed for 117 yards and 2 touchdowns. So that defense is showing that, their run defense isn't, up to par as the rest of their defense. I know their secondary is pretty decent. So I kind of expect a similar game. I'm not going to say, Duke completely shuts out Cam Ward and he does throw another passing touchdown, but I can very much see this game being very similar where you lean on the run game a little bit more with a defense like Duke.
All right, not to change the subject, but LM says he's not lying. When the Miami defense shows up on the field, I go outside. Now, I don't understand why he's saying that, because I thought the defense played pretty well. Now that, Florida State's offense was horrendous. Their quarterbacks were throwing footballs into the ground. Other than a couple fluke plays, they really got nothing done the whole night. But if we're honest, that's where, and we've talked about how this team is not peaking yet. That's the area where there's room for the greatest improvement. I mean, the offense has shown it can throw the ball. The offense has shown it can run the ball. The O-line's been pretty reliable. The running backs, obviously rock solid. The tight ends aren't getting to do a whole lot.
Right.
But you just know that there's going to be a game here down the road that they're going to let the tight ends eat a little bit, and they're going to factor in. And it's a pretty complete team on offense. So the biggest improvement, guys, would have to be on the defensive side of the ball. And I mean, they're getting a little bit of rough treatment this year from the fans. They've been trying to fire Guidry and all kinds of crazy stuff. I don't understand that at all. But I see, let's start with you this time. How do you see this going here in the final month of the season for the Miami defense?
I think the only way is up for them, honestly. I think a game like Florida State was very beneficial for those guys because, you saw 3 different, not unique offense, but 3 different looks, offense with, Virginia Tech, Cal, and Louisville. Virginia Tech, you get the scrambling guy, and Kyron Jones. Cal, you get them throwing everything they have in their playbook, trick plays, fake screens, big plays, things like that. And then Louisville with Jeff Brom, who's an offensive guru. And now you get Florida State, okay, let's get our, everything lined up again. Let's figure out who we are. And I think it was a good showing. Obviously, there's a lot of things to improve on, but I think you need games like that where you can kind of, per se, tee off against an offense that's not as good and then kind of get your footing back. So, hey, we can do this. This is what we did the first part of the year. Let's continue to do this. Just work out those little lumps. And then I think this defense will be, fine towards the end of the year. Obviously, they're going to have a lot of expectations when you have the number 1 offense in the country. Your quarterback's a Heisman contender. So everyone's going to want, the defense to be just like that. I don't think that's possible for this defense. I do think they can hold their end of the bargain for the rest of the year. But I just think the offense, set the bar a little bit too high for those guys. But I don't think there's anything, completely wrong with this defense.
Well, I'm hoping that our D-line continues to get there because that takes pressure off your secondary, and we have a good enough D-line, that can get there. I was hoping that number 9 had a great game. Number 10, man, he's amazing to me. What's his last name? Barrow. I just watch him. Like, I love watching him play, man. He plays with an edge, and that our D line, Jason Taylor. Yeah, that D line, man. They have Jason has done an outstanding job with those kids, with those men. That is the strength of that defense. So as long as those guys continue to play well, I think we truly have a chance, and it'll help that secondary. It'll truly help them because it speeds up the process. It really speeds things up where quarterbacks have to make decisions really fast, and sometimes it forces them to throw the ball before the guy comes out of breaks and stuff like that, and they cause tip balls. And so I really enjoy watching our D-line. They're going to continue to get better because there's so many of them. They got a lot of depth, and that I think that's going to help out secondary.
You know, I've been kind of hard on Tyler Barron the last 3-4 weeks or so. I didn't think he was playing hard enough. I know he was a little nicked up and wasn't 100% and all that, but it was obvious there was a big difference between the Tyler Barron that we saw in Gainesville and what we were seeing the previous couple of weeks. He was back on Saturday. The effort was there. He was wreaking havoc, and to me, he is a guy that is going to have a lot to say about where this season goes here in another few weeks. You know, he's a guy they need to be a dude and step up, and he has the capability. He's just got to find the will to play hard every single down.
I agree with you. I agree with you. And he's a beast, man. The first couple games, he was there. They were calling his name a lot. He kind of disappeared for a little bit, but on Saturday he showed up, and I can't wait to see him show up. I mean, when him and Bain are playing together, and now you add 10 Barrow in there, you know, those guys are getting after Mesidor. Those guys are getting after the quarterback. They're stopping the run too. You know, that's important. You got guys that can rush the passer, but they also can play the run. That's very important. And it takes some pressure off your linebackers. You know, your linebackers don't have to, you know, they can, you got to double team guys. You have to do stuff. It leaves the holes open for their lanes open for those linebackers to make plays. And that's important. That is very important. So again, strength of our defense to me, that D-line, they continue to play well and continue to play together and continue to do what they're being taught. I think we're going to be fine on defense.
So Christopher Wright, he says it's very tough working for Mario. He drives his coaches hard.
You're right.
I hear that he has been a terror the last week or two in the defensive back room. I heard that he has been all over the coaches. He's been all over the players. He has not been happy with their fundamentals breaking down, their eye discipline. He has laid down the gauntlet to the defensive backs, from what I heard, and it seems like the message is resonating. And again, we're comparing it to the Florida State game where they don't have a ton of offense, but those guys were better this past week. We didn't see guys running loose. We didn't see mental busts. When the head coach focuses in on you like that, Lamar, in the middle of a season, what kind of impact does that have?
I mean, bad it happened before. I mean, it's just not cool. I mean, it's not cool, and you know, you're trying to make sure you don't knock his ass out, the head coach. But you know, you got to do your job, and you got to somehow get those young guys to play well and try to turn it up. And a lot of times your career is being in the hands of 19, 18, 20, 21-year-old guys that some of them don't care. But I can tell you this, just from being around, those kids care, man. They're taking it. I mean, Mario is this week, man, he's been on it because he understands that, you know, right now is not the time to let up. Definitely not the time to let up.
He can start feeling this thing, yeah.
Yes, and it's not the time to let up. It's actually time to stay on him. And from what I've seen and being around, man, he's on it. I gave him like a fist pump and kept walking because I didn't want him to yell at me. Shit, I'm like, I don't work here, bro. Hold on now. You know what I mean? So he was on one, but it was great to see. And I tell you one thing I did see. I saw a coach, and actually it was a defensive back coach. He got on. No, it was a running back. Running back coach got on one of his players, and I saw Mark Fletcher take the guy aside, that whole group of them, say, hey man, if you ain't doing what you're supposed to do, that's what's going to happen. So how do we correct this? We do what we're supposed to do. That is leadership from within. That takes the pressure off the coaches. That's how you know that your team has somehow arrived at a different level. A couple years ago with Manny, I'm just saying, I don't see that. I don't hear that. These kids are taking it upon themselves to help be coaches and say, okay, we hear what he's saying, but at the same time, this is what we're saying along those lines. And in order to get him to calm the F down, you got to do what he's saying do. Let's figure it out and let's do it the right way. And that's I left there today going, I like that. Because not only for running backs, but I heard it from another group. So when you see that and you hear that and you see what these guys are actually pushing within, and it's just not Cam because he's doing it too. I mean, this is leadership all around. You got guys saying, hey, we ain't going to fall into the trap. Let's do it right. And that's what I'm hearing.
Yeah. So, let's pretend you played defensive back instead of wide receiver. When you were in your playing days before you joined us here on the broadcast and journalism side of things. But, you go play Louisville, you give up 448 yards passing. They score 45 points in that game. It takes 52 points to get out of there with a win. And I could see why the head coach wasn't happy with that. Okay. And Mario has every reason to come back here and say, enough.
Gary, you froze up.
Muted, Gary.
Gary muted. All right, good. All right, so I see the viewers are calling for you to say something, man. They want to hear you. They want to hear your perspective on this. They said I was bumped the two old guys. They said bump the two old guys. You pounded the desk like Mario. So they said bump the old guys.
I'm knocking out my picture. I'm knocking out my microphone. But I see. So the coach has every reason to be upset. And, you can't take it personally when he comes to practice and starts riding you hard the next week.
Yeah, no, I feel like that just lights a fire, on my behind to step up my game and elevate it, to the rest of, the guys on team. Because I feel like at that point, I don't know what they're thinking, but me personally, I feel like I'm, doing a disservice to my teammates. You have all your guys, holding up their end of the bargain. And I don't know whether it's schematics or, whatever it may be. I just feel like I would have to elevate my game to another level. And especially having a head coach come in, I would especially with Mario, how intense he is, man, that would make me, not miss anything, be 30 minutes earlier, be 30 minutes later after practice, a whole bunch of stuff. So hearing that he's, addressing that head on, going into the defensive back room, telling those guys, hey, man, tighten it up. This is the last stretch of the season. We got this far. Let's not, slip up because of this. Obviously, I don't know exactly how he worded it, but just seeing a head coach, come in and kind of do that as a defensive back, as a player, that make me take my game, 10 times higher than what I was doing, or just try to elevate my game to make sure that doesn't happen again. Because obviously you never want to see your head coach mad at you specifically or your position group. So that would just make me, turn things up 10 times more.
All right. So now we got the former coach coming in this weekend. You can put nicknames on it, whatever, but there's a little drama here. There's no doubt. Manny Diaz got the job. Probably should have done things in reverse. He's right at home right now where he belongs right now. And that's at a place like Duke. And you're seeing that he's not a bad coach. I mean, Duke's doing a good job this year. I mean, they haven't really built that roster. I mean, he's just taken over and, they've had some decent success. They screwed up their last game, but Manny's doing a good job at Duke. No doubt about it. Probably should have had that kind of head job first before he tried to take on this beast here. That's Miami. I mean, it's a very, very tough head coaching job here at Miami. LT, the emotions that are going to be out there on Saturday with Manny Diaz coming back. Even Mario seeing Manny, I mean, I don't think Mario's too pleased with what Manny left him, but if Manny didn't leave him something that bad, he probably would still be in Oregon. But what do you think? What do you think about the emotions of Saturday?
Well, I think my classmate, Mario Cristobal, I don't know if it's be too many pleasantries before the game, knowing my guy. He's happy to be here. Obviously, he didn't know what he knew what he was getting into, but he really didn't know what he was getting into. And I think what Manny left him was a lot of deficiencies and in the program. And Mario has had to clean up some things. You got a lot of guys attrition, getting rid of guys, bringing guys in, changing the philosophy. Manny first head coaching job was at the University of Miami. It's like Randy Shannon. It's hard to have your first head coaching job in this program. I know he's from here or whatever, but it's still hard. You got to go off and you got to earn it and come back. And what he's doing now, maybe that should have been, like you said, the roles probably should have been reversed, and he probably should have gone off. He should have taken that Temple. Was it Temple? It was
Temple, and he didn't go.
He should have had it for more than an hour or 2 hours. He should have had that job for more than that. And he probably would have been here and learned some things. But, it was, he did. I'm trying to think of the positives from Manny Diaz. He did bring out the turnover chain, which I'm glad we put that to bed. He got a little out of control. And let's see, is there anything else he did?
If you're glad it got put to bed,
yeah, it was fun in the beginning, and then Florida State kind of messed it up with a turnover purse, book bag or whatever they had. They kind of messed it up a little bit, and now everybody has something, But I don't know if that was his idea, but he gets the credit for it. I just don't think Mario's too happy when he started looking at that roster and the way things have been around there. And to hear the kids, when he comes in with his philosophy, those kids saying, whoa, hold on. It wasn't like this. It wasn't like this. We don't know if we can be here. We got to go. Or Mario saying, get the hell out, And so it's going to be interesting to watch. I'm going to try to get there early. And then
you better. The kids probably wake you up at 6 a.m. anyway.
Yeah, I'm trying to be at the stadium at 7 a.m. I got to see just how this goes down. The pregame. Because Mario's been fired up. I mean, this is a game that he's had circled himself.
I'm sure.
I mean, this is.
He comes out late though. He doesn't really get into a whole lot of pleasantries. He comes out late, does a quick handshake, and goes back to work. He doesn't.
He's not fired up. He's pretty much fired up and warm. I stay the hell out of his way. I don't go near him. I see him coming, I go the other way. I don't want to be a part of it. He's pretty much fired up. He's flexing and whatever, all doing all that stuff. But yeah, this is gonna be Manny. I want to see how Manny. I don't think Manny's gonna come across the field and shake his hand either. So it's gonna be.
They'll shake hands. They'll shake hands in midfield, but it's gonna be quick. It's gonna be quick.
Well, it's one of them things where Mario might grab his hand real hard, like squeeze it, like break a knuckle or something, like break a finger or something, like squeeze it, and Manny vein might pop out of his head or something. I don't know.
It's like coming back. We just had Randy Shannon back here last weekend.
Yeah.
Now we got Manny coming back as head coach of Duke. What do you think it's like for these guys to come back here where they were a head coach? Yeah. They didn't make it, and now they're in different jobs. And
I mean, I got to go to Louisville to see. I mean, but it's on a different level for those guys because they were head coaches. I'm pretty sure, probably had some mixed emotions. Randy playing there, obviously being the head coach, coaching there and being the head coach and getting dismissed, and then having to sue the school for his check. I mean, he probably had some mixed emotions. I mean, and then Manny coming back here, he was fired. So it's going to be interesting to see how these guys. Well, I saw Randy. Randy was hugging everybody. I mean, he kind of knew what the hell was going on. You got to try to save your job right now. But Manny, on the other hand, it's going to be interesting to see how he reacts. And I really believe we're going to see a lot of trickery. I mean, what does he have to lose? You're here. You're going to try to prove to everybody here that you're a good enough coach that you can beat the guy who's undefeated, who was giving your job afterwards. So I see nothing but he's going to pull out every stop in the book. You know, he's going to try everything he can. And like you said, he's going to throw exotic blitzes and fire zones and all kind of stuff that he has in his book. This is a game that he probably, I wouldn't say probably, he did circle.
Oh, there's no doubt.
Because he's back home. And he still, you know, he said, I watched his press conference, he still has a home here. So he comes down here a lot. So, you know, people probably see him in Publix. And they either spit on him or they, you know, so they say whatever to him. So it's going to be interesting to see how this thing plays out, man. I'm going to be there early.
Yeah, me, you, and I both. Hey, you know who we see in the opener next year, unless something happens and he gets we get Al Golden. Notre Dame's here for the season opener. So we get Al Golden to start next year. We got Manny this weekend. We had Randy last weekend.
Oh, Al Golden showers. I will not shake his hand. I might be out there throwing an elbow in his mouth. Yeah, that's going to be. When I saw that, I didn't even think of like Caspers, the convicts, none of that. I thought about Al Golden coming back saying I want to punch him in his.
For those that don't know, he's the defensive coordinator at Notre Dame now. All right,
we played the first game of the season 2025.
First game of the season 2025. Yeah. So hey, so we talked about the turnover chain and turnover. Mm-hmm. They had 6 turnovers last week, LT, and 3 others that they didn't cover. They could have had 9 turnovers in that game last week against SMU. Now, Miami has not been turning the ball over.
No.
Like that for sure. I don't have the exact numbers in front of me. Do you know them off the top of your head? I see the number of turnovers this year.
I think it's around 8. I think 5 interceptions.
And 3 fumbles, something like that. Yeah, look, they're not turning the ball over. And you know, I asked Lance Guidry, I said, what's the secret sauce? Whatever. He says there is none. But there's got to be a secret sauce, because why do Manny Diaz teams that focus on turning the ball over, and we saw the turnover chain coming out almost on a weekly basis when he was here at Miami. We didn't win, but we had turnovers and the turnover chain came out. And now he's putting 6 turnovers on SMU and almost 9 in one game. I mean, there has to be a secret sauce to turning the football over, Lamar.
Well, whatever that sauce was, he couldn't save his job. So I don't want that sauce on my damn burger. I tell you that. You can keep it up there in Duke, who's, by the way, a basketball school. And sorry, boozers, you can go on up there with that fake beard, that black beard you got. You need to just let it be gray. Stop playing around. Now, since he ain't coming here, I can say what I want. Yeah, that old ugly, that black beard with just for gray men or whatever, just for beard. He need to just let it. Just, man, look fake, man. Stop that, boozer, and take your kids on up there too.
Unbelievable.
Sorry, I had to get
that's a whole nother basketball topic, man. They made
Sorry,
Miami travel all over the world to recruit those 2 kids. And then why didn't they just say they were going to Duke in the first place? Like crazy. But
I mean, that's legacy. I get it. But don't show up at our all our stuff. He was at the last year we had a golf tournament for the was it Hall of Fame golf tournament at the Biltmore, and here is Boozer out there with that black beard.
Really?
I'm like, bro, you too old for that. That beard is too black, and you a light skin. You know that thing ain't your real beard. Go on, stop using Benzene or Grateful Black Men or whatever the hell he was using. And now I don't like him. But yeah, take your kids with you. Sorry about that. I had to get that out. It's been bothering me. Screw Duke. So let's go and whoop their behinds. I don't want to cuss because my mama and daddy might be watching. They say, bring that back. Bring that back. Sorry about that. Sorry.
All right, but turnovers. Is there a secret to turning the football over? I mean, you used to have to carry it, and people trying to strip. Oh wait, I don't want to go there.
Let's not go there.
That's a bad subject.
Only one fumble in my career, and that was.
I see. I just got fired as the host of the Lamar Thomas Show.
It's all good. It happened.
But no, I mean seriously, you know, people like, what's the secret for defenses on getting turnovers?
Obviously, they practice a lot. You know, stripping. Punching the ball out, you know, and you got to have some trickery. You know, if you're getting all those turnovers, but you know you're confusing quarterbacks. And you know, Manny's I mean, say what you want. I mean, his defenses usually are pretty damn good. You know, not really good as a head coach, but was really good. He did some things. He caused a lot of turnovers, kept us in the game with, you know, except we couldn't stop North Carolina. Oh, but anyway, yeah, it kept us in the game a little bit. But yeah, there's the secret to it is, I mean, they work on it. I mean, they truly work on it hard, a lot. All, you know, maybe all practice, maybe have like 2 or 3 sessions with turnovers, and you could tell they truly work on it. He's done a good job. I mean, it is what it is. He just wasn't a good enough head coach. So we're gonna see how this works. I think this matchup between our offensive coordinator Shannon and Manny Diaz is gonna be a good one. But I just think that we have too many weapons. I think we have too many weapons on our side on offense for his defense. I don't think they have the horses over there. So we just got to, again, take care of the football like we've been doing all year. And they don't have anything. Once you take care of the football, they don't have anything. So their quarterback's at Notre Dame. He looks pretty good too. The quarterback they had, he can run that football. I'm glad he's not
still at Duke. Yeah.
Yes, that dude is good. He can run that ball, man. He can run it. He can't throw it that well, but he can run it. And yeah, we'll see.
I see you've been looking at Duke a little bit. What are your thoughts? What do you think they can do on Saturday?
I just think defense is kind of their bread and butter. You know, obviously we know Manny's a defensive guy, and, you know, like I said a little bit earlier, they make up what they might not have physically with, you know, schematics and, you know, trying to punch out balls and force fumbles and different things like that. So I think if Miami plays a clean game, they shouldn't have any problems with this. I don't see Miami putting the ball on the ground 9 times and losing 6 of those. So I think that's why that game against SMU was so close too. But hey, you know, now Miami's got to play, or Duke's got to play the big brother. We all, you know, SMU has, you know, half of Miami's old guys on the team. So we get to see the real big boys now. But excited to see this game, and really excited to see the handshake after the game too. Like Gary said, when you guys were talking about that, I was trying to come up with like an analogy of, you know, how this is for Manny coming back. But we all know, you know, how these coaches or perceive how these coaches feel about each other. So we'll see, you know, how it all unfolds on Saturday. I have my popcorn ready watching from the press box.
It's gonna be very interesting right here, boy. I don't know how this is gonna go. I don't know. The stare down. Ooh-wee. My classmate, boy, he is on one. He is on one. He wants to win this game like no other. So if I don't think we'll see I think he's gonna try to score as many points as he can. I really truly believe that, and that's why. You know, you're looking at the point spread, and you know, I think we cover because I think he is. But let's see what it.
We think the loser is going to get deported. The Cube.
That's almost as bad as the dude making the joke at Trump about Puerto Rico. Just lost some boat, buddy.
Yeah. All right, I see. We're gonna let you check out. Go get some.
I see you early. I see you early, baby. I'll be there.
Bright early for the Manny Diaz return. It's going to be a national holiday in Miami by the time it's 3:30.
You gotta love the drama.
Oh, it's drama. It is drama.
Yeah.
All right, I see, man.
All right, I see.
All right, fellas.
All right, Lamar. Let's bring this home with some word association. Let's start with Duke.
Basketball school. Hated them. I've always hated them. Ever since they beat UNLV. So screw them. Football team, been on the rise. They've been getting a lot of decent players, better players. And I mean, the program has actually come a long way. And so they are a program that you can kind of take serious. Manny's done a decent job this year, but I just don't think they have enough horses. Especially if we don't turn the ball over. So, you know, they're getting ready for basketball season.
Yeah, they got that kid, I think his last name's Flag or something, supposed to be one of the top recruit in the country. I don't know how they named him top recruit. I can't wait to see this guy play because he had very modest stats in high school. But they say he's great, so we'll see. let's go Shannon Dawson.
Shannon, man, he's been he started off the season putting up a lot of numbers. As I said, the season in the beginning of the season, I said the schedule sets up perfect for us. Teams are going to get better. Obviously, they had to make a decision in this game, Florida State. We're going to take what they give us. We're going to run the ball down the throat. They obviously are not going to give us the deep passes, and I applaud him for being that coach to say, let's just take what they give us. Let's not try to win the Heisman tonight. Okay, let's get this running game going, and it will help us throughout the season. Now, with that being said, he's a guy that will be a hot. We continue to win. What he's shown, he has a hot hand right now with a hot quarterback, hot offense, and he will be courted. And then we'll have to make a decision whether we want to pay him more or let him go run his own show. But that's coaching, guys. If you're mad about it, then it is what it is. This is what you can't tell a man not to take a job if he wants to be a head coach. You can't tell him not to because of money. Some guys, they don't care about the money. They care about the opportunity, and that's just the way of the world. Now, you could say you could pay him $2 million to stay, but he might want to be a head coach for for $1 million. So it's just, you can't tell another man what his pocket should be doing. So if it happens, it happens. I'm just hoping he just finishes it out. And we go to the ship, and that'll be great.
Well, he hasn't gotten the job yet, but his agent's out there doing what he's supposed to be doing. Yeah. I mean, listen, he's got a client. His client is having a good year this year. He's got a hot quarterback. He's got, Shannon Dawson has a lot of saleable assets right now, and his agent's doing his thing, and he just can't let it distract him. That's the key. That's the key to this whole thing. Yeah. You gotta let your agent do the work. You stay laser focused.
You gotta finish it out.
Yeah, gotta finish it out. So and that's easier said than done, and big challenge. And I'm sure Mario will try to work with him on that. Mario went through it himself. I mean, Mario's final year at Oregon, the Miami chatter began really in the middle of the season. And, Miami started laying the groundwork to go after Mario in the middle of the season. So you have a head coach that's experienced with this kind of stuff and, maybe can help Shannon Dawson through it. Mario's used to his offensive coordinators getting head jobs. It happened, I think, 3 times, at least two or three times.
All part of the game.
Yeah.
All part of the game.
So, he's not going to be all rattled by this, the possibility that one of his coordinators might get a head coaching job. But they are after something big here. Like this is everything that Miami has waited 2 decades for to be relevant like this going into November. And it's the head coach's job to just make sure it stays like this. Correct. So, that'll be an interesting little subplot as we go forward. All right. He didn't get a chance to put up the numbers last week that he's accustomed to, but I thought he showed incredible discipline by not forcing things, not turning the ball over, even though that's what they were trying to get him to do. Cam Ward.
It's like what you said. To me, it was a good game for him. I mean, he showed that he can, if he has to be able to hand it off and complete some of those 5-yard passes and let his guys do their thing, the receivers, Gordon, Restrepo, number 3, 0. I mean, it's 11. And Sam Brown played a good game. He caught the cat blitz, picked it up. I mean, he was in control. Other than that one play where he didn't count he had his back turned. The guy came in and hit him pretty good. Other than that, I thought it was a good game. I saw them practice that play in practice last week. Of course, I couldn't say anything. So when I saw the formation, I said, "Oh, here it comes! Here it comes!" And they hit it. That was nice. That was really good. He caught the ball. He didn't get tackled, which I was praying for. Please don't tackle. Please don't tackle. And it was a good game for him. I mean, unfortunately, we saw where supposedly he dropped in the Heisman. I think this kid wants to win the championship. I really do. I think he wants to have his name up with the greats at the University of Miami, and he's well on the way. He finishes this thing out strong. He will be considered one of the greatest players to have played at the University of Miami.
I just can't believe we only have him for 1 year. He has brought so much fun, so much fun to this season. Yeah. Wow. Yes. All right, let's shift gears. Manny Diaz.
Manny. Man, the turnover change. I saw that old turnover change shirt this morning, man. I said I wipe my butt with that. Yeah, Manny, man. I said it earlier. He probably should have stayed at Temple. You can't turn down a head coaching job like the University of Miami. But he probably should have stayed there and just figured it out and been, and seen what happened. I don't think Manny's a bad coach. I really don't. I just think down here it might have been overwhelming for him. Even though he's from down here, I just think that it was just too much.
It's a lot.
It showed. And it showed just an environment that he was running down there. If he had to do it again, he'll be much tougher on those guys. He wouldn't be so much country club as some guys have said. So,
I mean, it's a lot, man. I mean, I'm looking at Mario now. I mean, I hope he's not watching. I mean, he looks exhausted a lot. Like, he's coming into the press conferences with his what do they call cafecitos, and he's like,
hey man, that dude, man, that's what he wanted. That's the type of environment he wants, and it's entirely different than what Manny was doing. So it is. Again, I just feel like Manny's not a bad guy, but he was in over his head here. And good luck to him after this game. I think he's in the right place. I think Duke is the right spot for him for a couple of years, and then I do think eventually he'll get a bigger job again, but not here.
Not here now. So, I just mentioned him, and Mario Cristobal's feeling the moment. Like, he was at his press conference the other night. I wish I queued this up. I don't know if you saw it, LT.
Oh, I saw it.
His little table pound at the end, like that was just unbelievable. I had to cut that up, man. We've been tweeting that out. It was like that was just beautiful, with the boom and the boom and then the boom of the table at the end. And
did he walk out after that? Like that's like dropping the mic. Did he stay around? That was it.
No, that was the mic drop. That was the mic drop. It was awesome. But let's finish off tonight with Mario Cristobal.
Hey man, my classmate, he was in building 36. We all were in building 36. That's probably where he learned that shit from, the mic drop. But hey, being out there today, he was just as animated and just as mean and just as nice and just as all kind of emotions out there today. He is ready. He wants to win this game in the worst way. This is a game, like I said. He wanted to beat Florida State. Yeah, we want to reverse the table, but this is a game he wanted to beat just because of Manny.
You can't let Manny come in here with Duke and win this game.
You can't. And I think he knows that. That's why it just means so much to him. And he don't want to be down drinking some of that Cuban coffee and they end up in the same spot. So and I don't think Manny wants that because Mario ain't nothing to play with, what I mean? So he's just into it. He really wants this game, and I think that if he gets a chance, he's going to try to score as many points as he can. I truly believe that. So it's going to be up to Manny to try to figure it out, but just know Mario going to try to put up a 50 piece on you, dog. Sorry, but not sorry.
All right, LT, well, another great show. We got to thank Clinton Portis for coming on.
Great show.
He's always great. I see, obviously, and we got to thank Caneswear Again, your ultimate authority for all your Miami Hurricanes merchandise. By now, you know the address by heart. We've been playing it for you the whole show. 2655 South University Drive in Davie. You can go to caneswear.com. They'll be open at 7 a.m. on Saturday. Perfect day, man. Go to Caneswear, get yourself some stuff. Drive 15 minutes up the road, up to University. You're at the stadium. And get there early because you're going to want to see the drama that's going to unfold before. So for LT, I'm Gary. Thanks again for joining us tonight, and we will see you next time, everybody.
Go Canes.